I remember watching so many coming out videos, and that's what inspired me to start a YouTube. Hey y'all, I know this video is very long, and if you look at the timestamp, it is almost 45 minutes long, and I apologize for that. I originally had this video at 1 hour and 30 minutes. I was able to cut it down to 45, but everything I'm going to say in this video is very, very important, and I feel like this video can be very beneficial. Especially near the end of it, I say a lot of things that I needed to hear when I was coming out. So please, if you have the time, watch this whole video, listen to my story, and let it maybe help you feel less alone in the world. Thank you guys for watching my videos, and I really hope you enjoyed this one. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today, if you didn't know, is Global Pride 2020. In honor of Global Pride today, I decided that I'm going to make a video that I have been very quiet about for the past few years on my channel. So the first thing that I want to say is that a lot of the story that I'm going to tell you is talking about my high school, and a lot of it might be negative, or like it might seem very, very negative, but I just want to let everybody know that that's not always the case. Everybody's coming out journey is going to be very different, and it's all based on their environment. If you have friends who are in the LGBT and they choose to come out to you, just know that even though it's 2020, they shouldn't have to, and you know, that does still take a lot of strength to be able to come out today. So my coming out story dates all the way back to a little boy who liked to play dress up. Ever since I was a little kid, everybody in my family saw this coming. You know, and not to say because I acted more feminine or played with girls' toys as a child that makes me gay, because that's not the case. Fuck your gender stereotypes, they're not important. Let children play with what they want to play with. Fast forward to a few more years when we stopped playing with the dolls and we started actually playing house or life or things like that. And a lot of times when we would play these games, I would want to play as a girl so I could have a boyfriend and a husband. I know that in the time I didn't really think much of it, and you're not taught these things either. That was just the very, very beginning stages of my life. And I did enjoy them. I enjoyed playing life, I enjoyed playing school, I enjoyed playing house, I enjoyed playing with the Polly Pockets and the Barbie dolls, and I liked playing dress up. The real story starts in 6th grade. So I went to a private Christian school my entire life. My uncle actually works at the school, so all throughout elementary it was fine. You know, I had a few crushes here and there, or crushes as elementary kids call them, you know how it is. And then middle school came around, and that's when things really started to get weird. In this school of 200 people, you don't really have a lot of options for crushes or whatever. But there really wasn't too many people to talk to, too many people to be interested in, whatever. In one of the classes that we were in, a lot of the boys started talking about having crushes on girls, yada yada yada, or who do you have a crush on, who do you have a crush on. Somebody had asked me, and I was oh, I don't really know, I don't really have a crush. And they were oh, you got it, everybody's got one. So I remember thinking about it for a little bit, and I decided to say that I had a crush on this one girl. And I'm not going to say any names throughout this video. Everybody's playing work their way up the ladder game, and they're trying to hang out with these girls who they think are cute, and all these girls are trying to talk to guys who they think are cute. But at the same time, I felt really weird and whatnot about one of the other guys at the school. I didn't really know what was going on. I was in 6th grade, and sometimes it would just be a weird thought that came into my head, and I didn't really process anything of it until about 8th grade, I think it was, is when I finally like understood like what was actually happening. But I remember that it was just like weird, and sometime in 7th grade is when they started talking about like gay and what gay is and why it's an abomination and why God hates it, and all these lies that Christians use to talk to gay people about why they're sinful and a disgrace on humanity. You know how it be if you lived in the church. But it was around 7th or 8th grade when I started making the association that I didn't really like this girl, but I kind of liked this boy. And that's when I started to like kind of get really worried about what was going on, because the only thing that they teach you is that that's like very unnatural, or you know, that's not okay, or you're gonna burn in hell, or things like that. I remember I used to think about it a lot, and it would cause me a lot of anxiety, and sometimes I would end up crying over it because I was so upset about why this was so weird. And as the school started teaching me more and more about what being gay is and why it's this like abomination and why it's so sinful, I began to start praying for God to take the gay away. Now, one thing that they will teach you in school, at least in my private school, was, you know, everybody sins and it's okay and God forgives, but there's some sins that are unforgivable, or like certain people who live a life of sin are going to go to hell. But, you know, they always refer to the verse that says God won't put you through anything that you can't handle, and if you ask God to take you out of your sin, he will take you out of your sin. So that's when I started praying almost nightly for God to take the gay away. I religiously prayed for God to take this away from me because it was gross, it was unnatural, and, you know, boys shouldn't like other boys, and that was horrible of me. And I became very like anxious and depressed over this. 8th grade and 9th grade is when I fully started to realize what was happening, and that's when I was able to like identify it, but I still didn't say it to myself. I was like, there's no way this is me, no way. And I did that for all of 8th grade, all of 9th grade. But at the same time, in 8th grade is when I did start hanging out with some guys, and I was making friends that were men, and I had more guy friends, and it got to a point where I was like excited to hang out with them because of things like being attracted to them, or like wanting to be around them, or wanting to spend time with them. I've already been called gay in 8th grade. Like, I had another guy say that me and one of my friends who I was really close with at the time were gay together because we just spent a lot of time together. I was very, very like denying at that point in time. 9th grade is when the bully came in, and he quickly became friends with a lot of the other guys in the class, and he had come from public school, and everybody was like, oh, he comes from public school, like he's bad, and he had a bad reputation coming in. I remember we did not mix from the start. We kind of got off on bad footing because he had quite the mouth on him. And I remember on a ride home, my uncle was like, how's the new kid doing in your class? And I was like, well, you know, you can tell that like he's not too thrilled to be here, like sometimes he's got a mouth on him, whatever. And I mean, y'all have seen my videos, I got a mouth on me too, but you know, when you're in 9th grade and your uncle is basically like second in command at the school, like you kind of have a goody two-shoes complex. And I will admit that I kind of was a goody two-shoes in high school. Anyway, he did not like me off the bat because people had told him that that was my uncle, and I was the one who said that he liked to swear and whatnot. 9th grade progresses a little bit farther. I'm still battling my own demons in my head because I don't know how I feel on the whole idea of like the whole gay thing. Like, there was no way that I was gay, still like praying the gay away. But somehow me and my bully became friends. We were good friends for a little bit. It was pretty much like the entire second half of
my freshman year. Summer of freshman year, like in between my 9th and 10th grade, is when I really started exploring what this whole gay thing was. I knew what I was taught at school, but I didn't really know what anybody else had to say about it, because at the end of the day, like, it felt weird to me that I spent almost 4 years like asking God to take this away from me, and he never did. So it didn't make sense in my head as of to why, if God won't push you through a sin that you can't handle, or if God takes away your sin when you ask him to and he'll take away temptation, why am I still here struggling? So that's when I started to explore this idea of, gay. And I came across on a few different YouTubers. So I remember one of the first gay YouTubers that I watched was Matthew Lush and Nicholas Laws when they were a thing. And I remember me and my sister used to watch their YouTube videos all the time. We also started watching some anime with gay characters in it, and I don't remember all of them. So June of 2014, me and my sister were up at the trampoline, and we were laying down and we were just looking up at the sky, and I don't remember what we were talking about, but I remember saying, Julia, I think I want to tell you something. And that was when we both came out to each other, and we both came out to each other as bisexual. There is a stigma behind bisexuality and it being a stepping stone to gay, and that is such an invalid argument. So I don't ever want my story to be used to support that idea, because there are some people who are genuinely bisexual, and there are a lot of bisexuals who their sexual identity is very, very valid. To sit here and say that it is not a valid sexuality because you're either straight or gay is very problematic. However, for me personally, that's how I had to come out, because that was what made me comfortable in the moment, and that was how I explored my own sexuality. And in my head, I was justifying it because the Bible only says homosexual, and it never says anything about bisexual. And quite frankly, the argument is stupid, and if I were to say that to some high up religious person as a 15-year-old kid, he would have laughed at me and condemned me to hell. But in my head, that was my safety card. I felt like I was in a gray zone that God couldn't see, if that makes any sense. That's how I was able to fully start to explore on my own. Then we swing forward to July, when we went on our family vacation to Tennessee. I do not remember much of this trip at all. That's because I'm fully convinced that my brain has deleted some of the memories from my head, because they were not good memories and because they don't serve a purpose to me now. So I've only really retained the general feelings of the situations, not the entirety of the events that surround them, because at the end of the day, they're not important anymore, because they don't define who I am, and other people's feelings and aggressions towards me don't define who I am, and I'm not the kind of person to harbor negative energy. So for me, it's easier to just forget about it and delete the whole thing from my memory, so that I don't have any pieces of bad energy stuck in my memories. What I do remember from family vacation was me and my mom got in a very big fight, because as I was exploring my sexuality, I had changed my phone wallpaper to the bisexual pride flag. I started a journal in my phone that was all about me coming out and my thoughts to myself, and I wasn't ready to come out to the family yet, so I had my phone password locked. And I remember that we had gotten on this one ride, and my mom ended up not going on it because you had to have 2 people per cart or whatever, and we had an odd number of people in the group. So my mom stood behind and she wanted to take a picture, and she just happened to grab my phone of all of them to try and take this picture. and she couldn't get in because the password was protected, and she asked me what my password was after the fact, and I was like, it doesn't matter, like I don't have to give you my password anymore, like I can just open it for you. She got really mad because I did not want to give her password, and we got in a really big fight, and she tried to take my phone from me. But my whole argument was, you don't even pay for my phone, my aunt pays for my phone, so if I'm going to give my phone to anyone, I'm giving it to my aunt. It was a big fight. My mom, and she will tell you straight up, like, this is not something that I'm gonna say that she isn't gonna say, but like sometimes she can get crazy and she can get angry. So she was flipping out in the middle of Dollywood. She was causing a big scene, and like I wasn't here for it. Like, I like attention, whatever, but like I just was not having it. So I just kind of ignored her, and that only made her more mad. And then my grandmother had to step in. It was a hot mess. A good 3 days of our family vacation was horrible. Fast forward like 2 days, I think, and we talked it out. We had a cute like log cabin, so we talked it out, and I explained like I'm not hiding anything, but like I don't know, like I just feel like I want to have a little bit of privacy and whatever. We fixed that and we enjoyed the rest of our vacation. But I remember my aunt came up to me and was like, why is it such a big deal that you can't give your mom the password? So I had to come out to my aunt then at that time. So I came out to my aunt and I basically said, like, if I open my phone, like, you'll see all this stuff. And I explained everything to her, and you know, she told me, she was like, you know, your mom wouldn't care, like it's okay, like you don't have to hide this from your mom. And I was like, I know, but like I'm just not ready. So then we fast forward to August. So at this point in the summer, I had already switched my Hot or Not app, if any of y'all remember the app Hot or Not. But I had switched that app from both women and men to just men. And I ended up matching with my first boyfriend, who lived all the way up in New Hampshire. We started talking online, and we ended up FaceTiming like every day. We were always on the phone. My sister and her girlfriend were together all the time. You know, we created like our own little pack of friends. The one day we were giving each other like fake tattoos, so I got the bisexual logo drawn on my arm up here, and we were gonna go on a walk, and right as we were walking out, my mom goes, what did you draw on your arm? So I turned around and I said, oh, it's nothing. And she said, isn't that like a gay symbol? And I said, well, it's the bisexual symbol, but ask your daughter about that. And I ran out the door. Problematic moment, because I completely outed my sister to my mom, because I figured if I was going down, she was going down with me. But I remember we were on the walk, and Julie was like, yo, what the hell? Like, did we just come out to our mom? And I was like, I think so. We got back to the house, and she asked us about it. Basically, we just said, yeah, like, we're bisexual. That's when everything was on the table. All cards were on the table. Then I remember there was like this week period where we just like didn't really talk about it. And it was just kind of like an awkward week for everyone. And me and Julia didn't really know. Like, we didn't know what our mom's reaction was. We didn't know, like, what was going to happen with school. We didn't know really anything. At the end of the week, our mom sat down again and we all talked. And basically, she gave, like, your mom's speech of, like, you're my children and I always love you, da-da-da-da. So at least I knew that my home life was going to be fine as far as, like, my direct family goes. The only problem was some of our extended family. We weren't too sure how my grandfather on my mom's side was going to take it. We weren't too sure how my uncles were going to take it. And the big kicker was my uncle who taught at the school. I couldn't tell him because at the same time there were other people at the school who either came out as gay on their own or they were outed. I honestly don't know the whole story. I remember them having to leave. So the biggest question then became, how am I going to get through 10th, 11th, and 12th grade? We figured we're just gonna go into it, we're gonna stay in the closet, it's gonna be a whole thing. I had to explain all of this to my boyfriend because I had to put my Instagram on private and I blocked a lot of people. My boyfriend would tag me in pictures, and I didn't want any of them to see it. This already made a lot of people suspicious, and on my end, it probably wasn't the smartest thing to do, but you don't really think about these things when you're 15. And I told him, please don't accept random follow requests, because if there's somebody that I know, they might like be able to out me, and then I might get kicked out of school. Then it was the day. I walk into homeroom, which I had with my uncle, and my school bully looks me in the face. And the first thing he says to me is, oh, well, you look very flamboyant today. So now let's recap for a hot second, because although I did delete a lot of 10th grade out of my memory, this one I remember very vividly. He was standing in the back of the classroom. I had just walked in the door, and I didn't even make it to the first row of desks yet when he says this. I look down. I am wearing bootcut jeans from American Eagle. I am wearing sneakers. I am wearing a lime green V-neck shirt from American Eagle, and I had my glasses on, and I had my hair spiked up in the front because I liked to spike it in the front, but that was it. That's what I was wearing. I look back to the back corner of the classroom, and he's wearing bootcut jeans from American Eagle, a red V-neck from American Eagle, and he had his hair all Justin Bieber wavy style, and sneakers. Like, we were wearing the same damn thing, except my shirt was green. So tell me how the hell that one works. My school bullies were not smart. They were not original. They were not clever. They were not funny. They were literally just annoying and childish. I didn't really let it bother me. A few people giggled. I sat down. But I remember it persistently got worse. We literally went from being good friends in 9th grade to the first day of 10th grade, him telling me I look flamboyant, and then him making it his mission to out me for some reason. I don't know what his vendetta was. I don't know what the whole point of trying to out me was, because he didn't gain anything from it. We graduated together. I didn't get kicked out of school. I didn't get kicked out of the praise team. I didn't get kicked out of the drama department. He almost got kicked out of the school, not because he tried to out me, but because he's a hooligan. I don't know what the fun was in this, but whatever. Then the insults start coming in. You know, the same 3 slurs every day. At first, it kind of really got to me because I was not trying to get kicked out. Eventually, I kind of got over it. Then the bully made a fake Instagram account, which he literally just titled like gay boy with some numbers, and follow requested me. When I went on to the account, I saw that he didn't have any pictures posted. He didn't have any followers. So I knew it was a sketch account. However, my boyfriend did accept the follow request. So he then went down the line of my boyfriend's Instagram pictures. He screenshots all of them and takes them to the administration of my school. Now, I am in 10th grade, trying to get an education, trying to just stay on the down low so I can graduate and get the hell out. And I'm now being pulled from my classes to go sit in the principal's office to talk about my sexuality. In 10th grade, I had Spanish 9th period. That was the last period of the day. But since it was the last period of the day, that's when I would constantly be pulled from class. Like, they took me out of class to go talk to the principal. I remember the first time he had talked about like these Instagram pictures. Basically, what I said was, yes, I am friends with him. Yes, he is gay. No, I do not think that that means I'm not allowed to talk to him because he's gay, because I don't think that's what good Christians should do, and I don't think there's a reason that I don't have to talk to him. And yes, sometimes he can come off as flirty, but it's not like a reciprocated thing. So I basically denied the fact that he was my boyfriend. And I said, yeah, like I FaceTime him a lot, but he just needs a friend, and I want to be that friend. I want to be a good friend to him. Yada, 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 yada. Then he pulled the line where he said, I'm not interested in like having you removed from the school. Like, I don't want to have to kick you out, but like, if you do need my help, like I want to help you through this. He was really trying to get me to come out of the closet, and I was not. It was not happening. 9th period would start at 2:45. They were 45-minute periods. and we were released at about 2:50 if we had to get back on the buses. Sometimes though, on Wednesdays, my uncle would take us home, so he would pull me out of ninth period. Some days, like, I just wouldn't even show up to class. I wouldn't even get to go to class, and he would take me in the office at 2:45. And if I had to get on the bus, he let me leave, and he was done talking to me at 2:50 so I could get on the bus. But he caught on that I stay with my uncle on Wednesdays, so he only started pulling me out on Wednesdays because my uncle would let him talk to me in his office. So I would be in his office from 2:45 until 3:30. So I almost spent an hour every Wednesday talking to my principal with him trying to rip me out of the closet. Eventually, my grades started slipping. So I remember getting my report card, and I had a 95 in Spanish. And then I start getting pulled out of Spanish class at least once a week, if not twice a week. In 3 weeks' time, when the progress reports come out, my overall grade dropped from a 95 to an 85. I went down 10 percentage points in 3 weeks. When I came home and my mom asked what was going on with my progress reports, that's when I told her what was going on. My mom is furious at this point, as any mother would be if their child is missing out on education. And like, let me tell you something, Christian school is not cheap. Private school is not cheap. So we're paying all this money for them to not even let me go to class. My mom calls my grandmother, and the two of them called the school and ream out the principal. And then they went for my uncle. She said that my uncle wasn't gonna do anything about it. So now at this point, I have the administration against me. My uncle, who is basically second in charge at that school, who's not gonna do anything about it. And to make matters worse, I had the Bible teacher down my throat. So once news got to her, she was also pulling me to the side in the hallways or asking if she could talk to me at the end of the school day. And sometimes she would even ask to meet with me in the morning before classes even started, because she was also trying to out me because she wanted to kick me off of praise team. Honestly, she was dramatic. She's one of those Christians where it's like, if you're the Christians who are in heaven, I don't want to be there because you're crazy. Like, no way in hell do I want to live in anywhere that is full of a bunch of women like her, because she's crazy. After my mom called, they stopped pulling me out of class, but that didn't really mean the situation got any better. I got to the point where I would come home and just go to my room and cry. There even reached a point when I resorted to self-harm because I was depressed, I was anxious, I didn't really know what else to do. It stuck with me for a good back half of 10th grade into the summer. I didn't stop self-harming until 11th grade. Nonetheless, 10th grade was really, really heavy on me, and that's why I think I blocked a lot of it out. Thankfully, I don't have any scars today. Thankfully, I don't really have any of these horrible memories today. I still know enough about it to know how it has shaped me today. I come in for 11th grade, junior year, and honestly, junior year was kind of my year. I remember talking to my mom at the end of 10th grade and said that I wanted to transfer. So we started looking into the local public school. But I remember me and Julia were talking together. I had said, like, do you think that it would be worth it to just stick it out? Then we wouldn't have to start over. But we both ended up deciding to stay. We come back and I kind of felt really good about it. Like, at this point, 10th grade was behind me. So if anybody wanted to say anything to me, like, I was ready with comebacks. My mom had already bitched out the school, so I knew I wasn't gonna have to worry about it from the administration. For the most part, everything just seemed to die down, and junior year actually wasn't that bad. I was living my best life. I just needed an education, and that's what I said. Anytime somebody would ask me, they're like, look, I don't know why you care. I'm not here for my sexuality. I'm here for my education. And at this point, I'm pretty sure everybody basically knew anyway, I just wasn't going to say it outright because then they had proof that I actually said it. The only thing that I really do remember from 11th grade that like haunted me, or not like haunted me, but whatever, it was the crazy Bible teacher who came back and asked me a second time. So after the first year, she asked me again. I was not here for it, but senior year, I was so over it. At this point, I had gotten some boys, I had explored some deeper parts of sexuality, and I was so over this damn school. I just wanted to stop having to hide it. At the end of the day, like if I'm not wanted in the church, then I don't have to be in the church. And I was ready to get away from it. I was ready to get away from religion, and I was just ready to be my own gay self. My 11th grade, we got a new Spanish teacher. I didn't take her class because I was already, like, Spanish 2 was 10th grade, and you only have to go up to Spanish 2. So Spanish 3 was optional if you wanted it, but I didn't want it. So I did not take Spanish 3. There was one day when she was watching a Spanish movie, and she had invited everybody in the study hall to come over and watch the movie. So we went over, and Profe let us watch the movie with her. And after the movie was over, she had started asking questions about gay students in a Christian school. At this point in my journey, my anxiety started to flare up again because this was my first interaction with her. I don't remember the exact order that the questions came in, but I remember she asked if there had been LGBT students in the past, and a lot of people were saying yes. And then I remember she had asked if they thought there were any in the school now, and that's when my anxiety started going. And then she had asked if there were LGBT students in the school, how would they feel being in the school? And that's when I was more intrigued, and she had started saying that she would be interested in helping LGBT students in a private school, knowing that it can be a scary place for them. That's when I felt more comfortable around her, but we still hadn't really started talking yet. Now we jump into 12th grade. 12th grade, like I said, I was over it. I was over religion. I was over the school. I just wanted to be gay and be happy. I wanted to stop having to hide. That's when Julia had first told me that Profe was interested in having a Bible study. I don't remember exactly how the first Bible study meeting came to be, but I do remember that at this point I could drive. So on Wednesday nights, instead of going home with my uncle before clubs, we started going to Profe's for this Bible study. I remember when we had gotten to the Bible study, she had explained that, she doesn't think it's okay for Christian schools to be so aggressive against their LGBT students. And that's when she first started to bridge the gap between us. And I don't know if she even knows how big of an impact that was on me at the time or not, but it was. We did talk about the Bible, but it wasn't what you would think of as a Bible study, because to me it felt more like a safe space. That is when she explained she believes that you can be LGBT and have faith in God and be religious and be LGBT. She ended up giving us a book called Torn by Justin Lee. He is a gay pastor who wrote this whole book on his exploration through the Bible. We spent a lot of time talking about what that looks like. I am forever grateful for those things, because now I'm at a point where I am comfortable in both my sexuality and my faith. I am by no means a Christian. I don't classify as a Christian. I believe that there is a lot of problems in organized religion as a whole. I think religion is more important in how is this speaking to me than how is this speaking to you to speak to me. For the longest time, I was ready to drop religion completely. But thankfully, these meetings put me back in a safe space where I felt comfortable exploring religion again as well, and exploring religion alongside of my sexuality. So we come back to the crazy Bible teacher. She decided she had to dig into my sexuality again. She asks if she can talk to me. We sit down, and she deadass, let me tell you, she deadass, tears in her eyes, looked me dead in the face, and she was like, I can't get over these rumors. Like, I don't feel comfortable having you on the praise team if this is the lifestyle that you're living, because I just know that it's not what God would want, and I need to know. And like, I was like trying to avoid eye contact. I was like, this bitch really crying right now, and I was really trying to ignore it. So I'm just like, not my own business. I'm like, yeah, well, you know, the bullies. And she's like, no, Dylan, I need you to look me in the eyes and tell me that it's not true. Here's the joke, right? Tell me how my gay ass was able to dead ass look her right in the eyes. Like, I swear to God, we were like this. She's bent over in her chair. I was sitting in her chair like this. Dead ass looked her in the eyes. I said, I'm not gay. If somebody had come up to me today and asked me to do that, like, there's no way I'd be able to say that without laughing my ass off. There is no way in hell. So I swear that had to have been the power of God came through. He said, Dylan, it's not your time yet. Let me deal with her. I said, okay. I sat in the back. He said, no, get off his ass. We don't have time for this. Somehow was able to dead ass look her in the eyes and say I was not gay. And that was kind of like the finale on the crazy Bible teacher, because then she left me alone. I finished my senior year on praise team, was never removed from praise team. The administration had also pretty much laid off. And at this point, like, we were kind of at like this don't ask, don't tell space where they didn't ask me, I didn't tell them. And my bullies, for the most part, left me alone, because now I was starting to get an attitude back. Graduation comes, and it was like a weight lifted off my shoulder. I took everybody off block. I unprivated all my accounts, and I said, let them know. High school was done and over with, and then I got to go to college. And I really don't have much to say about college, because college was college. I was able to walk in on my very first day and feel more welcomed there in one day than I did in 12 years at that Christian school. I was able to be who I wanted to be. I didn't have to hide anything. Never really had a problem at school. Like, I'm able to be who I want to be, and that's fine. Like, I've had problems at school, but they weren't related to me coming out. So now here it is in the year 2020, and I'm able to be openly gay on YouTube. And this was something that I've been excited for since I made my first video in 2014. I remember being there when Connor Franta came out. I remember watching when Joey Graceffa came out. And those moments were so impactful to me, because that's where I felt comfortable. Y'all know more than well that Joey Graceffa is one of my biggest inspirations in life. I mean, I have, wrong arm. I have him tattooed on me. But that's because, like, the significance behind this tattoo is because I remember coming out to myself, and I remember coming out to my sister, and I remember what it felt like to be stuck in that school. When Joey released Don't Wait, everything just kind of like released from around me. That was the first moment I felt truly comfortable in my own skin. I remember watching so many coming out videos, and that's what inspired me to start a YouTube. For me, being able to see all these awesome people share their stories is what has been inspiring me to share mine. And the reason it took so long is because I didn't want to have to put anybody else in the school through it. The entire purpose of this channel was for me to be a positive icon to LGBT youth, and I still haven't even shared my coming out story yet. So, I don't know. I really hope that this story makes you feel less alone. That was my biggest thing. I felt alone watching these coming out videos and seeing that there were so many other people in the world who felt the same thing I felt. It made me feel so much better. So I really hope if any of you guys are going through anything like what I've gone through, I hope that my story can be a message that it gets better. Like I said at the beginning of this video a long time ago, I don't know how long this video is going to be, and I'm sorry if it's really long, but thank you for sticking with me. I told you I was only going to tell you a lot of the negative parts. And that's because there really wasn't much else to tell. Like, I came home and everything was fine. Like, my mom knew, but like there wasn't really much else to say about it. Everything wasn't always negative, but the positives weren't enough to outweigh the negative. I had a safe space to come home to. Thankfully, I wasn't kicked out. Thankfully, I wasn't disowned. And I'm sorry if that is your story. And if that is your story, I would love to be a safe space for you in any way I can. For me, my story was at school. My story wasn't at home. There wasn't much of a story to tell at home. I go to school, I come home, and I complain about what happened at school. Even though everything sounded bad, here I am going into my senior year of college and I'm thriving. I got my nails painted for Pride. I wear gay shirts every other day. Now I'm a strong advocate for LGBT. I'm a strong advocate for Black Lives Matter. I've gone through all of these things in my life. I know what it feels like to have friends and family watch you struggle and not do anything about it. I know what it feels like to have somebody who can do something about it refuse to do something about it. There's no reason my uncle couldn't have spoken up and said, stop pulling him out of class. There's no reason my mom should have even had to call. My uncle could have stopped that, but he didn't. I know what it feels like to feel betrayed, and I know what it feels like to feel alone, and I just want to be a positive resource. I want to be what Joey Graceffa is to me. I want to be a safe space. I want to be a happy place. When I feel stressed out or when I get really overwhelmed, I'll crawl in bed and I'll put on one of Joey's videos. And it just calms me down. It makes me feel a lot better. And I want to be able to be that for someone. I want to be able to help in any way I can. If you feel like you're alone in your journey, please know that you're not. And please know that it does get better over time. Don't let people tell you you're weak. Don't let people tell you you're invalid. Growing up as LGBT youth is one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And it's made me a lot stronger today. And I know everybody else who's gone through it knows that y'all aren't weak. Y'all are some of the strongest people because you know how to bite your tongue. You know how to turn the other cheek. You got tough skin. Sure, it's mentally draining, and please make sure you find healthy ways to cope with that. But just know that I see your strength. Hold on, because it gets better. I hope you liked this video, and I hope I was able to help in some capacity. Just know that you're not alone. And there's always people out there. Happy Global Pride, everyone. Just because Pride Month is almost over doesn't mean the Pride has to end. I love you all, and you are not alone. And I will see you tomorrow.